listeners and viewers to this program. It's another wonderful Thursday evening here on the island of Nevis, and it's an evening when we bring to you this very informative program which we have dubbed Government at Work. It's a program brought to you by the CCM-led Nevis Island Administration and hosted by yours truly, Keith Scarborough. Each week we look forward to bringing you the information as it pertains to the development of the island and people of Nevis, not only for those residing here, but for those living in the diaspora as well. Because no matter where you are, I know that your mind, body, heart and soul is still very much focused on what happens here in your beautiful island, whether it be through the Ministry of Health, Education, Culture, Tourism, Infrastructure or Agriculture. There are positive signs of growth taking place in all areas of our economy, and each week we focus on at least one of those areas to ensure that you're all kept abreast of the developments taking place here in the island of Nevis. This program is broadcast live on VON Radio every Thursday evening from 8 to 9:30 p.m. Then we broadcast on Nevis Television on Sunday evenings from 8:30 p.m. If you are unable to listen to our live broadcast at this time, this program will be posted on YouTube at a later time. I take this opportunity to remind you as well that our Bird's Eye View program is aired on Nevis Television every Tuesday evening from 7:15 to 7:30 p.m. Then we broadcast on Wednesday evenings at the same time. We shall take a short break, and when we return I shall introduce my guest for this evening's program to you. So stay locked on to the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio 860 AM.
So right, St. Thomas is right, St. James is put together and build your land. Right, St. George's and St. Paul's together with St. John's. This land is enough for all to share. No reason to leave and go nowhere. Foreigners can come here from America and England. There is something mighty sweet about my land. And if the foreigners who live here can insist that it's here they're from, then I swear I'll never leave my native land. One people, one country.
Welcome back. Folks, I am pleased to have as my guest this evening the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, the federal representative for the constituency of St. James and St. Thomas's, as well as special advisor to the Nevis Island Administration. This evening we are going to be discussing several topics, including all that is being planned for the 50th anniversary of Culturama at Herbert's Beach. Honorable, good evening and welcome to our Government at Work program once again.
Thank you very much, Keith, and it's so nice to be here this evening. It is always a pleasure, I must say, coming to VON Radio and interacting with the general public, even from this distance, so to speak, because we're not interacting with persons here in the studios, but persons overseas, persons here locally, and so forth. So I want to say good evening to all who are listening to VON Radio at this time and in tune to this wonderful program, Government at Work. Whether you're here locally, whether you're in St. Kitts, whether you're in the sub-region, and internationally as well. I know we have persons all over the world who are tuned in. And before I end, let me say, Keith, if I can recall, I was the first person you would have interviewed on this program many years ago. And I want to commend you for keeping the fire burning, because this program has certainly carved its own niche, so to speak, in the talk show landscape here on the island of Nevis and throughout the Caribbean. So I want to commend you for keeping this show going, and job well done.
Thank you, Alexis, and you were the one who named the show, actually. So, Honorable, it's been a while since you were last here, and quite a lot has happened since then. You have your own show, of course, which comes on at 1:30 p.m. every Friday, right here in the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio. So I know that you have been talking to the world on a regular basis, but it always helps when you are given the opportunity to speak on other programs such as this. And I am happy to have you tonight. Now, we have a lot to discuss this evening, so I want to get straight into it, Honorable. And I want to start this evening's discussion by asking you to give us an update on the proposed airport expansion, and if possible, when and where will be the next consultation taking place?
Okay. Well, before I do that, if you may permit me, let me just remind the general public, so to speak. I know the general public is in tune to Vaughan Radio and all media houses, and are keeping abreast, of what is happening as we are in the Atlantic hurricane season. And indeed, the reason why I start this way is because we cannot take anything for granted at this point in the season.
True.
We had a hurricane that passed through the south of us, and of course our brothers and sisters in countries such as Grenada, Barbados to some extent, and Tobago, and all those countries in that particular region, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They're still reeling from the impact of Beryl, which passed through last week. It is important for us to stay in tune, yes, because what that hurricane has demonstrated to us is that the pundits have been saying that this season will be an active one, and it is the first major hurricane we have ever seen in the month of June. So at least we can say that a Category 5 hurricane has never been experienced before, and they've had to deal with it. And indeed, the aftermath is certainly a difficult situation in those countries and islands who have been impacted, in Jamaica as well too, parts of Mexico, and even up into the United States, in parts of Texas, Louisiana, and beyond. So that storm would have certainly made a significant track through the Caribbean and also up into the United States. So it tells you the enormity of such a storm. So I want all of us here on the island of Nevis and in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis to continue to be vigilant, continue with your preparation. At least you can only do as much as you can, because storms can become larger than anticipated in most cases, which is what happened with Beryl, because it started out as a tropical storm, Category 1, Category 2, all the way up to Category 5, when in truth and in fact it may not have seemed so in the first place. But be that as it may, some lives were lost, and we are very much sympathetic to those islands who have had those losses. And indeed, we pray that they would, find the strength and the resources to recover, so that they can continue to, live normal lives. But here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we have to continue to be vigilant. Indeed, you would have asked about the...
Before you go into that, Alexis,
yes.
Just now that was spoken like a true Minister of Disaster Preparedness. You were the Minister of Disaster Preparedness just a couple of years ago.
Yes.
And that presentation you gave there reminds me and sounds to me like you are still very much with it in terms of your advice to the general public.
Well, and the thing is, the rhetoric have been the same each year. At least we have been blessed to some extent, and that is the power of prayer. We are a praying nation, and I'm absolutely certain that all of the persons out there at some point would pray for our protection. We have done so as well too, as a government. The Evangelical Association have this particular prayer session prior to the start of the hurricane season to ask God's protection. And so we have gone through this many a times, and I just don't want us to become complacent in any way.
True.
Because complacency can lead to a disastrous situation. And we have had some tropical storms and even tropical waves that have done some damage to us in terms of our infrastructure here on the island of Nevis. And so we cannot be too complacent about these storms. And that's why we continue to admonish our people to stay vigilant and stay prepared. And in that particular preparedness that you're in, you certainly can, minimize some of the damages if possible. But the storms are going to come and they'll rage, and we just hope for the best thereafter.
True.
Okay, so you would have asked about the airport, and indeed, one of the mandate that I was given by the Premier of Nevis is to undertake or spearhead the development of this particular project. That is the upgrade and advancement or expansion, of the Vance Amri International Airport. That is an airport that has been dormant to some extent. Yes, there's some life, but nothing close to what we had before. And so we would have looked at the airport, and I will say from the onset, Keith, no country or island can develop without connection or access by way of sea or by way of air.
Sure.
We know we have Long Point Port over here that is providing that access to international markets or international ports in terms of tropical and all the other ships that bring goods into that port. The airport itself now, we had some connection and connectivity in the past when we had the American Eagle, which was a turboprop aircraft which came out of San Juan, and that had multiple flights per day. So we know that the possibility exists for us to have similar flights and connection and connectivity again. But we would have lost that connection back in 2008 thereabout, when American Airlines would have removed their hub. They had a hub in San Juan, and that was moved up to Miami. Of course, then they finished with all of those turboprop planes. And so we were left out of the equation in that St. Kitts then became the main connection into the Federation, where those wide-body jets are now being used. Of course, the airport there at Van Samry is inadequate for jet type, meaning those wide-body aircraft. It's just 4,000 feet long. So we have looked at it from an administration standpoint, and we've been looking at it for a number of years, because the company or the entity that we have engaged with is Perez Consulting and Engineering, who have been working, are still working as a matter of fact, at the Argyle Airport in St. Vincent. They were the ones who were a part of the initial project, and there are other works being done there at Argyle, and they're still involved. And we were able to get them here back in 2015 thereabout, where they undertook some studies for us to check into the feasibility of such a project and whether it is one that the island need at this time, or one that can be economically viable for the island of Nevis. Indeed, they have done their work and they've reported back to us, and we have moved on further because we understand the importance of having that airport up and running and having the connection to the U.S. mainland, for example, Miami. And in saying that, one has to look at what is happening around us. The turboprop planes are still being used, but they're being used regionally, meaning from St. Martin to places like Martinique and Guadeloupe, or Winnie now have a similar type plane, which is the ATR 42, which is being used to do some island hopping. But we, as an administration, consider that as being limited towards what we're trying to accomplish. We want to say to our visitors to Nevis, or potential visitors, that you can leave the United States, for example, Miami International or even Fort Lauderdale, and come directly to Nevis. Gone are the days when tourists are willing to travel from point A to point C to get to point B. They want to travel point A to point B, and persons are not willing to take too many stops, make too many stops to get to where they want to get to. If I were to just give you by way of example as well, someone can get on a plane in New York at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and by say 9:30 they're in their hotel in the Bahamas, for example. These are the competition that we are up against. Our destination is just as good as any out there, but the question is, how do we get our people to Nevis? And I have said before, and the Premier has said it as well, that we're not in any competition with anyone. We are about building a sustainable island state, and that is what Nevis would be once we're able to get, for example, this airport reconstructed, expanded, whatever term you want to use, and get it to the point where we are accepting the aircraft that we're seeking to lure into our airport, which is the Embraer 175. Now you ask about, yeah, when I talk, I can talk long about the airport, right? But
good information. Good information.
You ask about where are we and what is proposed at the Van Samry International Airport. I did say before that we currently have a 4,000 feet runway. It is in a state of disrepair. Would you believe, Keith, if I were to tell you that the road from, let's say, Cotton Ground to the start or that entrance to Mount Nevis is better? The surface is better than our current airport surface, or runway surface, and it is in bad shape. So we can go ahead and repair that and not extend it and still stay in the same position that we are currently in. So we have decided that in order to get to where we want to get to, we will go ahead and extend that runway to get at least 5,800 feet of runway. So essentially we are seeking to add another 1,800 feet heading east, and some of it to the west as well. And so we're also looking at reinforcing the surface of that runway, putting in brand new LED lighting along the runway strip, and also improvement in the apron, that is the parking area, and expanding the parking areas as well too. And we are looking at some work to be done at the control tower, a brand new fire hall and firefighting equipment. A hangar will be constructed as well. We are seeking to build a brand new fuel farm. Also, what is there currently is inadequate. We're also going to do some work on the terminal as well. That is the passenger terminal. We will be removing the cargo facility that is within the terminal and building a brand new cargo facility on the property as well, so that when persons come to collect their cargo, they do not have to interact with passengers or do not have to come to the terminal, but they'll go to another site, another location on site. So that location has been identified already as to where we'll put that. So there'll be an overall overhaul of the entire airport or aerodrome and airport facility to accommodate the Embraer 175 and any regional aircraft that is of similar size. In terms of the size of the Embraer 175, that aircraft can carry up to 76 passengers. So whether it would carry 76 or there will be some limitation, it would be able to accommodate that size of aircraft. And so those are the proposed plans for the airport and the environs. Now, there's something I didn't mention which doesn't necessarily involve the airport space, and that is the realignment of the island main road. Where the current main road is, that is within the airport territory when we are all said and done. So we'll have a realignment of the island main road to come through the lands that are south of the airport, current airport property. And when I say south, I mean to the back of Tire World in that region, yeah? Just to give the listeners an idea. So that is what is contemplated, and of course we can speak some more about it in terms of getting down to land issues and also exactly where we're going with the runway itself, because for 1,800 feet of runway we'll have to go into properties that we'll have to get and acquire, of course.
Okay. Speaking of land, I know that you're currently in discussions with some of the landowners in that particular area. How are things shaping up with regards to that at this time?
Well, I'll say for starters, the south of the airport, which is Tire World, and to the back of Tire World, where there's some lands there owned by the Chattertons, we have had negotiations done and we have had an acceptance on their part. So we're just seeking now to proceed to payment for those lands. That is at the south. Now we're heading eastwards, which would take us into lands that we'll definitely have to get as well, because without those lands, there's no need to have an airport project, because if we are seeking to get 1,800 feet of runway, then at least about 1,000 or more would be going towards those lands in the east, towards the Nevis plantation, that is. So we have been negotiating with the landowner, and one of the things that I can safely say about this administration is that we have always tried to exhaust all of the negotiations before we make the next move. So we have been negotiating for some time now, because I believe when I was there back in 2020 thereabout, that's when I would have seen the first valuation for those lands. So you understand that we have been at it for some time. But the time is nigh for us to make a decision and to move forward, because as I said before, without those lands there is no project. So we are seeking to wrap up those negotiations in short order, and I believe that the owners of those lands, I believe some of them have already come on board in terms of accepted our offer, and then there's just one landowner who we're trying to finalize negotiations with. So in short order, we should. So if I were to be, I guess, in person, I'll say sooner rather than later, we should be done with the negotiations and have possession of the lands.
Okay. Now, I know that, I did ask earlier about the consultation, when the next one will probably be.
Well, we have consultants on the island as we speak. They came in last Saturday and they'll be leaving this Saturday. They came from Canada, of course. We have consultants on the ground who are here since last year, October thereabout. We've been trying to coordinate the next consultation. As a matter of fact, we were hoping to have one this week, but based on the atmosphere, the environment at this time, everyone is in this celebration mood. We want to maximize the benefits of these particular consultation. So there's no need to have one and then 10 persons come on, or 15 persons, whatever the case might be. We want the general public to make that effort to come. So I do believe that we should have another consultation sometime in August thereabout.
After the festival.
But I'll also say my hope and desire is that we have the land issues taken care of before we have the next consultation. Okay. Because imagine you go to the consultation and you're asked, we've been asked before, and then we'll be asked again, what happened to the lands? Where are we with the lands? We want to have an affirmative response, a firm response, I should say, when the time comes. So one will be held, I believe, perhaps at the latter part of August, or as soon as we're able to put it together based on the land transactions being finalized, and then we can move towards some work.
Okay. I want to shift your focus now to the upcoming Culturama 50th anniversary celebrations, which one can truly say has already started. We have had a number of free activities taking place, including the Calypso elimination, and we would have seen the final program of activities being released. But I couldn't help but notice that although the Herbert's Beach affair is a major activity every year for Culturama, that it is not listed on the program of activities for this 50th anniversary celebrations, and inquiring minds would like to know why.
Well, I'm a part of the group of inquiring minds too. but Keith, let's put things into perspective. This this activity started back in 1997, albeit that I came on board sometime in 2003. But the bottom line is every year there have been a challenge, some difficulties, some objection to this particular activity, and so over the years I have learned not to complain but to press on with what we are doing. And it is testimony to our resilience, yes. But I'll say to you that I believe you're asking about the core calendar of activities. Remember, they would have brought out two different calendars. They brought out
the fringe activities.
Well, they have us on the fringe activity.
Oh, you're on the fringe activity. I didn't see that.
But I want to say this though. Over the years, I have clamored for us to be on the main calendar, which we have been on before. Right, yeah. But they have come up with this strange type of scenario where they come out with the core activities and then the fringe activities. And I have always said it is important to put everything on one calendar, let people see what is going on for Culturama, and not having to search somewhere else for activities. But this is just my opinion. However, it is on the fringe quote-unquote calendar of activities. But wherever they put us, Keith, we would go on and promote the event, because I'll say this to you, over the years Herbert Beach have been one of those activities. No matter what is said and done, it has been there.
It is a major
perennial activity on the calendar of activities. And of course, while they have pulled back on some activities in the past, let's say for example Mr. Cool and swimsuit competition, there are a couple of years where that was not held, or we've had some waning of the numbers or decrease in the numbers for, let's say, the Senior Calypso show or the Miss Culture show. And there have been challenges with some of these shows. We have always put on an excellent but event over there at Herbert Beach. And the numbers speak for themselves because thousands of persons would come and patronize that activity. And of course, you ask about why it's not there. I don't worry about that anymore, because I remember in 2008 when we were looking for the activity to be on the program or the calendar of activities, it wasn't there and we couldn't even find bands or musical entertainers, whatever you call it, to come to Herbert Beach. We had to settle for a little stereo system from in someone's house.
I remember.
But we still had an activity, yeah?
And people still turn out.
And people still turn out. So that's how resilient we've been over the years. And if I were to speak a little further on this, let me say, those of us who are involved in putting on this activity, we do that with no financial return to us. Remember, we don't have a gate down there to collect any entrance fees. We turn to our sponsors. We have gotten assistance from the Nevis Island Administration, which we appreciate. I have had to put my hand in my pocket as well to cover some of the expenses, and I don't mind doing it because obviously that is my way of giving back to Culturama and giving back to the community. What I'm pleased about is the fact that the booth owners and those who normally come down and ply their trade, they make some money. They won't tell me how much they make even if I ask them, but that's okay too. But I can see the activity down there around the booths to tell me that they make some money, which I'm happy about. And more so, I am happy that we're able to bring some activity, some fun up to the north of the island. Instead of all of it being around the Charlestown area, we have something up there in the north for persons up in the north who would not come to town for any shows or anything like that, meaning the elderly or those persons who are up in age. They can get some entertainment up there on August Monday, and also patronize those who are selling, who don't normally would have a booth in town but get a chance to make some money on that day. So that is why I'm saying I'm not too fussed about it not being on the calendar of the main calendar of activities, when I believe that this is what makes Culturama what it is. It's a huge event, and so I would have thought that the Culturama committee would have embraced it and put it on the main thing, but we're not worried about that. We're still having two activities, and we can talk about the next one when you get a chance.
Well, Honorable, this is a widely listened to program, so I am more than happy to give you this opportunity to tell the world what will be taking place at Herbert's Beach this year.
Okay, so on the 31st of July, we're having what we dub homecoming celebrations. We did it in 2014, we did it in 2015, but because of the work that it was involved, we decided to hold off. But the homecoming, that tag started with us over there at Herbert Beach, and we had it on the Wednesday night leading up to the big weekend.
Yes,
the reason why we schedule it this way is because we know at that point in time quite a number of persons would have already come to the island from England, for example. Keep in mind that is the last Wednesday before the big weekend, or some persons will try to get it on the Saturday, but then most of them will be too late to enjoy Culturama. So we know we have quite a number of English persons here, well, visitors and citizens who are returning or returning nationals who would come for Culturama early enough for them to enjoy. So we dub it homecoming celebrations, so those who are here can enjoy. Those who are on their way here and will get here for the 31st of July would also have a chance to enjoy. So what we're having down there on the 31st of July, we're having quite a number of things happening that night. I'm not so sure if you're aware, but we're having the final Calypso tent for those Calypsonians who would have made the finals. So you would be there.
Oh, well, I hope so.
No, you have to be there, King. I mean, you don't have the name King just for show. You normally prove us right by action, okay? So we'll have a Calypso tent for the, well, let's call it 8 Calypsonians. There are 7 finalists along with the King.
I think this year they're going 9 finalists.
9 finalists. King, yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. So we'll have a night of Calypso down there. Then we'll have an appearance by the Miss Culture contestants. We'll have string band music. We have a section of the grounds that will be dedicated to our artisan vendors, those persons who are selling products that they make locally. We have engaged them for that, and also there'll be an appearance by their 2 troops in St. James that will be on the streets come parade day. So we are hoping that they'll come and make an appearance in their costume. So it's like a selling point as well, to where they can entice some of the visitors who have just come and want to play bass, buy a costume and get in. Also, we'll have a bingo that night. $5,000 will be split in 2,000 and 3,000 first and second prize. And of course, we'll have music, we'll have DJs, we'll have string band music, we'll have the collision band that will be there out of St. Kitts. So it will be a night packed with activities, and it will be a night for something will be there for everybody. Of course, the booths will be operating, food, drinks, barbecue stuff, all of that will be there. So it will be, let's put it this way, the vibes are going to be there, and the vibes are going to set the tone for the upcoming Culturama weekend, because as we go down there, that is how Culturama will go. So we're hoping to have a fantastic time down at Hobart Beach come July 31st, starting at 7 p.m. thereabout, and we go down until, persons are ready to go home. So that is for the homecoming celebrations. Of course, on the 5th of August, Monday the 5th of August, from 12 noon until 12 midnight, and we go until 6 a.m. Tuesday the 6th of August. So we're not cutting off at 12 midnight as we have done before. Persons have been clamoring for a longer period of time down there, since there'll be more people on the island, places to go, and some persons might be around who tell us that they're not going home to sleep either. We have to accommodate them. Yeah, so we're going down until 6 a.m. on Tuesday the 6th of August. And when we get to 6 a.m. or even before that, I've already spoken to Mr. Macefield Nisbet. He's one of our exercise or aerobics guru around here. So he will be coming down to conduct an aerobics class down there. Persons might then go into the ocean for a swim, and once they're done, they can purchase a breakfast and sit and eat it or take it home, whatever the case might be. So we'll have music by, let me give you the lineup of the entertainers that we're hoping to have. First of all, I would have contacted Garlic. You know Garlic?
Yeah.
Contacted him weeks ago. And I spoke to him on Sunday night, because he was on the stage on Sunday night, did a marvelous job of entertaining the crowd, but he was limited in terms of time. So I told him, well, when you come to Hobart Beach, there's no set limit for you. I want you to rock the crowd from the time you get on at 6 until such time. Yeah, so he will be there, plus the usual bands that have always called every year. They have helped to make Hobart Beach what it is. And even if I don't call them, they would call me first. Even if I call them first, they say, man, I'm already waiting for your call and I have you booked already. Yeah, so Grandmasters will be there. Of course, Small Axe will be there as well. And of course, we have quite a number of DJs who will be on stage, and we're still trying to finalize the lineup for the 5th of August. Remember, I said we're going from 12 midday until 12 midnight onwards to 6 a.m. on the 6th of August. So it therefore means we need to have entertainment all the way. We'll have the greasy pole, of course. We're hoping to have a kayak racing competition. That is in the hands of Dr. Claude, Claude Nisbet, Cocky. So I'm saying that publicly now, so Cocky would know that he have to get those kayaks ready, because that is his job to spearhead that. We'll have activities for the children, and of course the booths as usual will be there selling local stuff. Your goat water, conchs, and all those type of things that persons are accustomed to. All of the drinks will be there, and of course whatever you've had to partake of over at the Hobart Beach in the past, that will be available to you and more this time around. The important thing to note is that we are going beyond 12 midnight down into 6 o'clock the following day. I say 6, but if people are there until 8, well, I'm not going to chase anyone. There for persons to enjoy, because this Culturama, from what it is being said and what is anticipated, most persons are saying they're coming to Nevis to have a marvelous time, a grand time, because 50 years will never come again, Keith.
True.
You cross 50 once, and so once you're about to cross 50 and you're at 50, you want to celebrate in style.
True.
We also want to make sure that we have a safe Culturama, and all of the efforts will be made to ensure that we have some safety and security down there at Herbert Beach. But the celebrations this year will be one for the books, and we want our people to understand, all of us will have to be on our best behavior. All of us would have to welcome the world, so to speak, to ensure that our best is shown to the world, so that people come here and they leave here with the best feelings and understanding and knowledge of this island we call Nevis. So things are shaping up nicely, and we're getting all of the infrastructural work done down there, and of course throughout the whole island. But you asked me about Herbert Beach, but I'm certain that we'll be ready when the time comes on the 31st of July to put on a good show down at Herbert Beach.
Okay, sounds good. But while you were speaking, I was looking at my phone and checking the calendar of activities coming up, and I realized on the 31st there's also the ball. The Empire is having the ball on that night, and NIPAC is having a dramatic play on that night, and so there's a lot of action for everybody to participate.
A lot of action, yes, but there'll be a lot of people.
Yes.
So
a lot of people.
If there are a lot of people, it therefore means we'll get our crowd up there at Herbert Beach.
Everybody will get.
And you said a few more activities there. They'll get their crowd as well too. But remember, at Herbert Beach, it's all free. You drive down, park up, and you're part of the action.
And you don't have to dress up and come.
You don't have to dress up, because you put on your shorts, you put on whatever.
Yes.
I always say, listen, when you're coming to Herbert Beach, walk with your lawn chair, walk with your armchair. If you're in a wheelchair, come, whatever chair you have, or your Morris chair. You ever see a Morris chair?
Yes.
So bring your Morris chair, sit and relax and enjoy the ambience and whatever is being offered down there. But we welcome one and all. But persons will have a choice, and that is the good thing about this year's Culturama. There'll be a choice for everyone. They can drive around to all, or they can decide to come to one, which I'm hoping they'll come up to Herbert Beach and enjoy the activities up there, because you're next to the beach, and if you feel like it get warm in any way, just jump in the ocean and take a cool down, and then come back and have some drinks and eat. So that is what we are offering, the best environment on the island.
Great. Now, before we get off the topic, for those persons who may be interested in operating a booth, who should they speak to, and what is the cost of a booth, and is registration closed still or open? Is it?
Well, we have persons who have been utilizing the booths there for the last 10 years or more. Same persons come over and over again. So what I would do is that those persons' name would be registered early, and then additional persons will be acknowledged or taken care of later. Right now, as it is, though, we have just about 15 persons already registered. That is more than we have had in the past, because we generally have about 10. So 15, and people are still calling and asking. I will say it is difficult to have too many. What that means, it cuts into the revenue of those who would expect to
make a little something.
To make something, right? And I generally try to accommodate those who would not have a booth in Charleston, and who won't be plying their trade in Charleston, but depend on that particular night or those particular days to make some money. So we have those who are accustomed to being there. We have them on the list already, but we have 15 persons already, earmarked for booths there, and that is what it is for now. But in terms of the registration, it's normally $200 per activity, or per booth per activity, and it's small compared to what is being made, but at least when it's all said and done, it's something that can go towards the entertainment. So Herbert Beach, there's something that we didn't touch on, which I believe we should, because you see that Herbert Beach affair, it has been in that spot for the last 27 years. There was a point in time where there was some doubts as to where we'll have that event, because of course you would have heard, I'm sure, Keith, that those lands were being sought after for all sorts of reasons that never materialized. But of course I had to put this plug in and thank my cabinet colleagues of the day for supporting me in terms of my submission to the cabinet of acquiring those lands. It was not for Herbert Beach affair at all. It was for the enjoyment of the entire Nevis public and those who would come and visit that location from time to time. But of course the Herbert Beach affair is held on a section of that land. But just about 13.9, call it about 14 acres of land, is now in the government land stock and belong to the people of Nevis. And we had a point in time where it almost appeared that those lands would have ended up in the hands of someone who I deem or call a land mogul. You know what a land mogul is? Someone who grabs up land all over.
Yep.
And she was going after those lands. And listen, me, Keith, I couldn't have fathomed the fact that those lands were going to that particular person when the people of Nevis would have been shut out. Because we know once those folks buy these lands, they would fence them up and then you don't have access.
Sure.
The beach would have been there, but in terms of access to the lands, those lands, that would have been eliminated, and I couldn't sit in cabinet or be the representative of St. James and allow that to happen. So I am proud of that move, and I want to thank once again the members who are part of the cabinet and who approve that acquisition. And it has been done, and on a daily basis I look at persons going down, enjoying the lands, going down and having various activities down there. Families go down there on a Sunday, and it is something that would not have happened if we were not as vigilant as we were in terms of ensuring that we had that acquisition done so as to ensure that we have those lands for the enjoyment of our people. So I'm proud of that.
We are as well. Now, speaking of acquisition of land in that particular area, it takes my mind to the Mango Fest that we recently had with lands that were purchased by the N.I.A. in that good vision of the Honorable Malcolm Gishard to secure that land.
Sure.
Your thoughts on the Mango Fest and the entire surrounding area, the development that is taking place there?
You're going to put me to talk for half an hour. But
Take your time. It's good information.
Listen, first of all, let me say that the concerned citizens in movement in government have always sought to secure lands or secure our patrimony. I would go back to as far as when those lands down here at Penny's, over 700 acres of lands were secured.
Newfoundland.
Well, you call them Newfoundland, but before Newfound came about, they were secured by the concerned citizens movement in government, which they were pursuing those lands for years. And somewhere around 2004, 2005, it all fell into place, yeah? Over 700 acres of land. Of course, 600 acres of those lands were sold to Newfound for the construction of a hotel, which never happened. But, of course, you come back now to the 14 acres that were carved out for the people of Nevis by the late Malcolm Gishard, who was then the Minister of Lands, for the enjoyment of the people of Nevis. And, listen, I have to give credit to anyone in government who have that type of vision and looks out for the people of Nevis in everything they do. I mean, lands can be sold every day from the government land stock, and the government makes some money, of course, but we always have to be cognizant of the fact that our generation will exit the stage someday, and we have to have something for future generations to come. And so you can't sell out all of the lands. What is best to do is to secure as much as possible so that at least you have a land stock for your citizens to enjoy in years to come. So those 14 acres were carved out for the people of Nevis to construct a park or for recreational purposes. And that leads me to the Honorable Mark Brantley, who came along and as the Minister of Tourism and also as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, came up with this idea and with the vision that he had then, that he wanted to fulfill the dreams of the Honorable Malcolm Gishard, and thus that park plans was put in place for the construction of that park, the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. And so the Taiwanese were engaged, and I believe I said to you some time ago that in one of the conversations that I had with the ambassador the Taiwanese ambassador, local ambassador, that is Ambassador Michael Lin, because the project didn't really start with Ambassador Lin. It started with Ambassador. There was an ambassador prior to him, Ambassador Lee. Ambassador Lee. Yeah. So when Ambassador Lin came on board, he was all excited about it and pursued it with the Honorable Mark Brantley. I told Ambassador Lin that one thing I can tell you about the people of Nevis and the government of Nevis, we will take care of that park. We'll make it usable for the people of Nevis and make sure the people of Nevis get maximum benefit out of that park. And so you come now to the Mango Fest, and even before that, all of the activities that have been held there, but specifically the Mango Fest. The Mango Fest have now found a home.
Yes.
Because we have gone to various parts of Nevis, I think over at Wally at one point.
Yes.
I don't know if we have gone anywhere else, but I know we were over there on that piece of land where the Blues Festival was held some time ago. But when I look at what happened last year, and when I look at what happened this year, I said the Mango Festival have found a place.
Agreed.
And listen, Keith, I left home on Sunday after I attended church. I got there sometime after 2, just after 2, and I left home with the intention to have fun and enjoy myself, irrespective of what, because you know the challenges were there last year. But to the credit of the Minister Brantley, the folks at the N.I.A, the Nevis Tourism Authority, from the chairperson all the way down to the volunteers, and also the Ministry of Tourism, everyone pitched in and made sure that we corrected some of the difficulties of last year.
True. And
this year was flawless. And if I tell you I had a good time, everybody else down there should have had a good time too.
True.
Because I went there with the intention to have a fantastic time. But specific to that Mango Festival, I will say to you that particular event was not always as big. There were challenges along the way, and I'm sure along the way some may have thought of dropping the idea or discontinuing. But I want to give credit to the Honorable Mark Brantley, and also I believe I heard him mention Mr. Greg Phillips' name. He was there when it was conceptualized, and he was there for some time as well too. And I'm sure he was instrumental of ensuring that it continued irrespective of the challenges. So now we are now in 2024, and we had a wonderful time down there. Persons came from all parts of the globe, and as a matter of fact, it is now considered one of the major festivals here on Nevis and in the Federation. It can rival anything, anywhere, because the numbers speak volume, and the returns, I'm sure, are there to see in terms of the persons who came, stayed in our hotels that perhaps would have been somewhat empty at this time. This is July, just prior to Culturama, and the car rentals made money, restaurants made money, bars made money. Wherever persons would have gone, they would have spent some money. Sure. The water taxis over there made a tremendous amount of money. NASPA made some money. So everybody made some money for that weekend, from Thursday the 4th up until Sunday the 7th.
Yes.
So that is the gravity and the how great that activity was. And so I want to commend everyone who were instrumental, starting with the visionary leadership of Mark Brantley, who came up with that idea. And it has certainly grown over the years. I've seen it come from baby steps to now it's running like a sprint or marathon. Yeah?
Sure. Yes,
so that is fantastic, and that is putting Nevis on the map, and that's what we want. And that is to reverse some of the talk out there that nothing is happening. Well, something good happened down there on Sunday, and not only Sunday but throughout the entire weekend.
Yes.
Something good was happening in Nevis, and
more to come.
And more to come. But I want to say, while I have this thought in my head, I am so sick and tired of persons calling down this beautiful island of ours. It's like, Keith, there's some persons out there who are telling us that our eyes are fooling us.
Yes.
And I think I have 2020 vision, or maybe 2015 vision.
Well, the truth is they're not speaking to us. They're speaking to those who are not here, because we know differently.
And that is the mistake. Because I'll tell you what, I interacted to some persons who haven't been here for some time, and some of them are some bloggers out there.
Yes.
Some bloggers out there who are accepting what is being spewed from Nevis, the negative things that are being spewed from Nevis, and taking it and make it a story or narrative. No, they came to Nevis, for Mango Festival, and even before that, some of them came to the music festival, came to Nevis, and they said, boy, my name is Zook, not a nickname anymore. It's my Zook. I didn't know Nevis had such beautiful roads. I didn't realize that things are so beautiful in Nevis, and how lively the place is, how clean the place is. And they're seeing all of these trucks driving around, concrete trucks that is, and that is an indication that things are happening.
Of course.
And Keith, you try to figure out, well, what can you do to undo some of these negatives? But I suppose what we have to do as an administration is continue to press on and do the things that we're mandated to do. But I'll also say to you that it is not good for the island of Nevis for persons to be spewing these negatives, because investors out there are listening. When they hear electricity goes off every night and every day in Nevis, which is not true.
Of course not.
When they hear water goes off every minute and every night and every day, which is not true. When they heard their potholes all up and down Nevis, which is not true. When they hear that people are having a difficult time in Nevis, which is not true. But if it is true, it is consistent with what is happening throughout the world.
Globally.
But what I'm saying is that, listen, let us be patriotic to this island. And even if you think that something is not going the way it should, you certainly can talk, but offer some prescription for us to correct the wrongs that are going on. But presently, unemployment is low, construction is booming, the economic situation in Nevis is thriving. And what I do on a daily basis, I look at the people of Nevis. And I can't find a village or a community in Nevis where people are sitting down on the road as they used to do many years ago.
No.
People are out there working, not one job, 2 jobs, and in some cases, 3 jobs.
Yep.
And let me say further, there's nothing wrong with working 2 or 3 jobs. If the economic situation warrants that you do that, meaning there are jobs available, take advantage of them.
Of course.
And find something sensible to do with that money. Put it to good use. You have children to go to school. You have personal expenses to handle. You want to buy something of importance that you want. You have to go and work for it.
Of course.
And that's why I'm challenging our people to continue to stay focused on what is good and what is right for you. Do not let anybody influence your thinking by suggesting that having 2 jobs, there's something wrong with it. There's something good about that. Keith, no one would leave their country and come to Nevis when things are so bad. But we have Dominicans here, we have Jamaicans here, we have persons coming from St. Kitts every single day to work. We have persons coming from St. Lucia, Trinidad, all over the Caribbean. They're coming to Nevis. And you think they're coming here to sit down? They know that we have the highest minimum wage. They know money is being made in Nevis and the possibilities exist. So they're coming, and I want to welcome them, but all I'm going to tell them when they come, take care of Nevis. Please, take care of our island.
Honorable, I know you're on the front foot right now and stroking the ball nicely, but we are due for a break, so we shall take a break at this point. Folks, you're listening to Government at Work. My guest this evening is the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. Honorable, when we come back, we shall talk about Phase 2 of the Pennies development, because that too is a gem.
Yes.
So we shall take a break at this point.
So right, St. Thomas is right, St. James is put together and build your land. Right, St. George's and St. Paul's together with St. John's. This land is enough for all to share. No reason to leave and go nowhere. Foreigners can come here from America and England. There is something mighty sweet about my land. And if the foreigners who live here can insist that it's here they're from, then I swear I'll never leave my native land. One people, one country.
Welcome back. Honorable, I want you to give me your impression of Phase 2 of the Pennies development, because that too, like I say, it's amazing.
Yes.
And deserve to be spoken of.
Sure. Well, let me say, I remember the days when down there was pure dirt.
True.
And things were in a disarray down there in 2013. We came into government and we had all of these little shacks on the ocean edge, so to speak, and some little tents and some pallets and so forth were there, acting as, or being used as bars. And it was inconsistent with what we thought Penny's Beach should be like. Also, I will say that all of the restaurant owners, bar owners down there were pretty much squatting on the land down there, and we felt that it was time for us to bring some order down at Penny's Beach. So we were able to engage all of the restaurant owners, Sunshine and Weekends and Randy and Chevy and all of them, and we educated them about the fact that they should have some land tenure, meaning they should have a piece of paper to the piece of land that they currently, well, occupy then and still occupy at this point. So all of them down there, every single person down there is sitting on a piece of land which they are paying a lease every month for. They have a lease document, which is that is something that I would say that the CCM and government would have initiated to make sure that our people have that level of security in the land or in the piece of land that they occupy down there. That being said, we understood over the years that Penny's Beach have tremendous potential, and we went ahead and, as we spoke about before, engaged the Taiwanese, the Republic of China, Taiwan, and got their assistance, financial assistance and technical assistance as well, to get the work done down there. Keith, I walked from the park and went down towards the beach where I was parked on Sunday evening when I was leaving late that evening, and it was a sight to behold. The lights are on now. The entire place is surfaced with concrete, and the parking slots are in order, and of course it has enhanced the entire surrounding down there. Down there is like Miami in Nevis, if I can put it that way. Palm trees, and the grass is well manicured, but most of all with the lighting and the order that has been brought to Penny's Beach. I am so pleased with that project, and like I said, it was the vision of the Honorable Mark Brantley and his approach to the Republic of China Taiwan for their assistance, and I want to thank the Republic of China Taiwan publicly for acceding and ensuring that there is something in Nevis that looks like the architecture that they have in Taiwan, because that same building up at the top,
the main building,
but down at the bottom is still consistent with Nevis and consistent with what we want Nevis to look like. So down there, if you ask me the question, and I will tell you, it is a marvelous product, and I want all of our citizens to get out and see what it's like. Those who are coming, come down and see what it's like. Do not take anybody's word for anything. If you're here on the island, drive down. It is your property, so to speak. So go down and enjoy it, because there are visitors who are going to come here and go down to Sunshine every night, go down to Weekend every night, go down to Randy's or whomever down there every night. They'll be enjoying the ambience down there. So I want our people to do likewise. You don't necessarily have to go and sit in a restaurant. You can go down, sit in your car, walk around, whatever, chat with your family, sit on the beach, have some family time down there at the Penny's Park, the entire thing. But more so down at the bottom where all of that work, marvelous work, was done. And let me commend the public works as well, because they would have done the paving that was done down there sometime last week or the week before. That shows that they have the capability and the ability and the capacity to do some of these things, and I commend them, all of them, from top to bottom, minister and everybody, for their efforts here on the island of Nevis to put in beautiful infrastructure. And of course the company, construction firm, the Taiwanese firm that would have done it. I forgot their name. I don't want to give them a wrong name, Guangzhou or something like that. I don't remember their name, but I want to commend them for their effort as well. They took their time and delivered a beautiful project. Listen, I drive down there just to be down there sometimes every morning. So that is how I am so pleased with what has taken place down there. I just go down just to see what it's like.
Okay, great. Now I want to speak to you now, Honorable, about some very important projects that started under your leadership when you were minister in the Nevis Island Administration. Some of those projects are now blossoming nicely. So I wanted to get your perspective on how things has progressed thus far. And the first one being the Wally Pier and its beautiful surroundings. That's another major accomplishment for the CCM-led Nevis Island Administration in the parish of St. James. And you were the driving force behind this great initiative.
Yes.
So tell us how it feels to drive by on a daily basis and see the wonderful sight of passengers boarding the water taxi that now departs and arrive from that location.
Here's a little bit of humor. I've always said that we have a seaport and an airport. We have a university, we have schools, we have churches, we have all of the amenities to break away from Nevis someday. That is just a little bit of humor. You know that's impossible. But anyway, Keith, when we thought of this project as an administration then, I felt it was born out of the fact that there was a wooden pier just up the beach from where this particular project is, and it was unsafe. And before I go any further, let me just thank the Yarwoods for allowing persons to use their facility over the years. But they would confess and they would agree that their pier was becoming unsafe up to a certain point, and they also had a difficulty with persons coming through their property at late hours at night, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, when in truth and in fact they are a hotel and they have guests to protect and that kind of thing. So they had issues with their pier being used, and we as an administration looked at the whole situation out there, and we were figuring how can we come up with something to eliminate that difficulty and also ensure that it is safe and well protected for our citizens and our visitors. I will also say, with my two eyes, I would have seen a guest who was heading to Nisbet Plantation. She fell down on that pier one Saturday afternoon and injured herself. Not seriously, but injured herself to the point where you would have become concerned, because that is not the welcome that you'll want to offer to your guests and your citizens. That being said, we were searching the area there, and that property was on the market for sale. We were able to negotiate the price downwards. I believe we paid just about 3.5 million EC dollars, whatever it converts to US, but I want to deal with EC. It was about 3.5 million EC. We were able to secure $6 million from the SIDF. At that point in time, the SIDF was almost depleted of funds and resources, but we were able to get in and get that amount, and for one or two other things here on the island of Nevis. But since we are talking about the Wally water taxi facility, we were able to get $6 million. So of course 3.5 million of that would have gone gone towards the purchase of that property, and then another 1.6 million EC dollars thereabout would have gone towards the construction of the pier. So pretty much you can say the money is done, because you had to spend money to fence the property, construct a bathroom facility, and also do some coastal protection. Because remember, in 2017 we had some ground surge, or ground swells as you call it, rough waters, and that would have eroded some of the land over there at Wally. So we had to reinforce or do some revetment work on the seaside of that property to protect it. Okay, so that being said, we went ahead and we engaged a company from St. Martin, Secure Marine, and they were able to come and construct that pier for us. It is just over 200 feet when it's all said and done. We initially thought about a 100-foot pier, but indeed we said, let us go the extra 100 feet so that we can accommodate more boats, because we saw in the making whereby we understood once it's constructed, the facility would be utilized heavily. And so we did so, and then we were able to open that facility, the pier that is, I believe, somewhere around 2018. We have seen the mushrooming of a number of businesses over there in terms of the water taxi business and all local business, and of course they're employing quite a number of persons, and they're moving quite a number of passengers as well. Indeed, Keith, if I were to give you a general idea as to where we are up to this point of the year, let me backtrack to last year. That facility would have seen just about 241,000 passengers would have moved through that facility. So far for the year, or let's say for June of this year, we had just about 24,409 passengers who would have passed through that facility. Add that on to what we have up to the end of May, based on my records. I think up to the end of May we had 120,451 passengers that passed through that facility. Add the 24,409 passengers for June, you're now up to 144,860 passengers. That is phenomenal for the first 6 months of the year. It therefore means that based on the average movements per month, we might very well surpass the 250,000 mark by the end of the year. Because last year, like I said, we missed out just by a few thousand. We were able to do 241,000 thereabout. This year we are now up to 144,860 passengers who would have utilized that facility. What that means, the boat owners cannot complain.
Oh no.
They are making money. NASTA is making some money. I'll also say Social Security is making some money, because all of them who are working there, I would hope that the contributions are being made to Social Security. The boat owners, of course, will have to buy equipment and parts and fuel and those type of things. So all of those businesses that supply the boat owners with any of those items are making money, of course. Indeed, there are persons who would come there and sell certain items in the area. Taxi operators, oh man, there are times when no taxis are there to move people. That shows how fluid the situation is over there. And so everyone can say that this particular project is a revenue generating project that was conceptualized by the Nevis Island Administration and executed by the Concerned Citizens Movement, who manages the affairs of the Nevis Island Administration. So I am pleased with the project, because all of the businesses and persons that depend on what goes on there are indeed making money. And I didn't even talk about the restaurants and bars, because there are people who leave St. Kitts and come over just to have a dinner.
True.
And well, I myself have left Nevis and gone to St. Kitts just to have a dinner too. So it goes both ways. And of course, it is certainly a project that has enhanced inter-island commerce. You have commerce out of Charlestown, yes. You have commerce out of Long Point. We have inter-island commerce right over there at Wally, and it's a very quick process, and that is why people are gravitating to the Wally water taxi facility and what it has brought to the island of Nevis. Now you can come up here for Mango Festival and leave here at 10 o'clock in the night or 11 o'clock in the night, because you know the service is available to you, and it therefore means that you don't have to overnight in Nevis at any time, but you can have that facility available to utilize at any time, because obviously you can also make arrangement to travel at a later time.
True.
It is Uber on water.
Uber on water, I like
Just
that.
call it that. Uber on water.
I like that.
So it is
The roads and the terminal building has been completed, Honorable, but I understand that some work is still to be done on the parking lot side of it.
Yes.
You could shed some light on that for us?
That is with Public Works as we speak. They should be coming up with the design and all of the technical and engineering work to get that done. But that is in the works, and indeed it should happen sooner rather than later. That is something I have to follow up with the Minister Brand and his team to see where we are with that. But of course that parking lot is going to serve an important purpose over there in terms of ensuring that there is safety and security of the vehicles, and also perhaps in the long run the government can make some money out of parking as well. We have to get into that mindset that we go overseas everywhere we go. We have to pay for parking, except it's a mall or something, but you know those malls cover a huge land space. But here in Nevis, where space is limited, and it is becoming a premium now, at least at some point, if it is the will of the government, perhaps they'll have to do that. But before I move off of the water taxi facility, I didn't even touch the building. You were supposed to ask me about that building, but listen, I have gotten so many good reviews about that terminal. Yeah, it's air conditioned, and the ambience is just fabulous.
It's a beautiful
There's some
building.
painting that was done by Van Anslin. Fantastic. That has enhanced the interior of that facility. And when you sit and wait for a boat, you're in the comfort. I remember those days when, you know, a little rainfall and the other side, who I have not referred to much tonight anyway. The other side used to take some videos and put them out on Facebook and say, look at this and whatever. But I would say, Keith, Rome wasn't built in a day, but it took one day to burn it down. So if we took some time before we got to this particular building and got it open and everything, there are reasons why. Because we were going through the difficult times of COVID-19 when we thought about finishing renovating and finishing the building, but we had to put that on hold so that we can look out for persons who were struggling on the island in terms of them having to meet certain expenses, and we were bearing a part with them in many ways in terms of ensuring that they can live and live comfortably. So persons were able to get their full salaries and wages, and those were more important than any material things at that point in time, or any structure that could have been built. So I want to applaud the Premier for the action he took then. So it took us some time to get to where we are, but we had to do it that way to ensure that our people continue to live as comfortable a lifestyle as possible here on the island of Nevis. And I am not at all, you know, I don't feel any way about what was done. All I'm going to say is that we took the right decision, and it was to the benefit of all, meaning the people of Nevis, and the benefit of to the government as well, because it was filling the mandate that it was voted into government for, and that is to put people first and look out for people.
Great, true. Now another project I want to get your views on is the Madden's housing project, because in my view that is a major development taking place there in the constituency of St. James's. It is something that all Nevision can be proud of. It is one of the biggest accomplishments thus far by the CCM-led administration. But we all can agree, was the driving force again behind it all. Speak to us a little about that accomplishment and how you're feeling about it at this time.
Sure. Well, we have always felt that we had the knowledge, and we had what it took to bring about a revolution in the housing sector here in Nevis, and I believe we would have accomplished that up at Madden's. Why I say that is because there is Cherry Garden, yes, and I don't want to make too much comparison per se, but there are certain things about Cherry Garden that we felt was not consistent with our thinking and what we wanted our people, that is our citizens, to enjoy when it comes to housing. So that particular project, we did quite a number of things differently in terms of how we went about the actual execution of the project. Of course, when you drive through Madden's or Cedarview housing development, first thing you'll realize is that every single house up there have a different color to start with. Initially, for example, at Cherry Garden, it was a one-size-fit-all, meaning all of them were painted the same color. Well, that was their thinking, but our thinking was different. I believe if someone is going to occupy a home or house for many years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever the case might be, they're paying for it. They should have that choice in terms of what their environment should look like, or what their interior and exterior should look like. So we did that. We made it easy for persons to get access to a mortgage. We decided that we would take on the burden at Nevis Housing and Land in terms of borrowing up to $25 billion from the Social Security Board. And then we set up a facility at the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union where the payments are made. And up to 2020, it was going rather well, rather good. But we had some challenges in 2020, of course. 4 Seasons would have closed. The difficulties with the tourism sector, where quite a number of people who work in that sector would have had challenges paying their mortgages. But things have since, gotten far much better, and persons are now paying their regular mortgage payments. But in terms of the development, for sure, we are now down to the third phase. Started with phase 1, I believe. The numbers I'm not too sure, but the first phase was just over 30 plus houses, and then the second phase was a similar amount, and the third phase would probably take us over 90 plus houses or homes up there. So it has, mushroomed into something big. And indeed, I will say also there's still more lands up there, because my thinking was then we'll go all the way down to the ocean. Because there's some distance to go. Because if people need houses and the government can make it possible, I would say do that. And the good thing is that the land over there is government owned. So at least it makes it easier than somewhere in Charlestown, for example, where you have to search out for private lands, and then it's more expensive and that kind of thing. But up there, we have had persons leaving from various parts of the island and have come over to Maddens. Persons from Charlestown are living up there, persons from Cotton Ground are living there, persons from Gingerland, persons from St. James itself are living there, and there are persons who are now having houses constructed for them who are also from different parts of the island. So we welcome one and all up there, and one and all have come. What I'm going to say, Keith, is that once you're a Nevisian, because that is one of the requirements, you have to be a citizen of St. Kitts Nevis to have access to government land or government housing. It's just what the ordinance speaks to, and we try our best to honor the requirements, because it's law. Yeah, and that is a way of protecting our people. That doesn't prevent persons who have come from neighboring islands to access lands, because of course they can access land and get the necessary license to do so, but also they have similar privileges to own a home and enjoy a home here on the island. Just that when it comes to government land and government housing, that is earmarked for citizens. But I am proud of that particular development, and of course there are others that were started while I was there. For example, up here at the top of Craddock Road, I think that is called Mountain View Crescent or something like that. Second phase up here at Hamilton, I think that is called I forgot the name, but anyway, the second development up there. And you look at all of them and you see similarities in terms of persons having that choice. Even up here at Chimney View or Chimney Crescent, up here at the top of Cherry Garden. All those houses, beautiful houses. And I'm so proud of our Nevisians, meaning men and women. Although I find more women are getting houses than men, but anyway, that is something to speak about another time. But why I'm so proud is because home ownership is one of the most important step you'll take in life. And when I say my Nevisian, brothers and sisters, however you want to term it, making that commitment, it warms my heart, because many other countries cannot speak like us. True. Even across the waters, their persons are having challenges to get even 3,000 square feet of land. And I'm sorry to make the comparison, but you have to, because they themselves from St. Kitts would come and say, those are the challenges they're having in St. Kitts. Even the homes, when you compare these houses and the designs that we have here, they are far much better than what you'll find anywhere else. And I want to say we have when I left there were over 30 something different designs that one could choose from, and some other countries may just have a single design or two designs, three designs, but we have made it possible for persons to have access to and give them the choice of multiple designs they can choose from to have constructed and have something that is consistent with what they're looking for in life. And I'm proud of all those who would have made that step and made that commitment to invest in themselves and invest in their family, because once you get a home, even before that you would probably have a family, yes, but once you get a home, you know where you're putting your family to reside and the environment in which you're raising your children and the like. So I'm proud of all that.
Honorable, we are running out of time, but I wanted to ask you about this last major achievement for the CCM-led Island Administration, which you spearheaded once again. And that is much talk about Indian Castle Fruit Farm. Just recently we had a major function being held down there as part of this year's Mango Festival. It is not in St. James's, but it serves all the people of Nevis, including the good people of St. James's. This too has to warm your heart when you see all that is happening on this farm, including the fact that it has now become a must-see, not only for citizens and residents, but for visitors to our show as well. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Indian Castle was one of those areas that many felt was, call it barren land. Nothing could happen there, except probably raising livestock or something of that sort. I am always of the opinion that every square inch of Nevis, it is possible to grow something and to benefit from, what you have planted, yeah? So Indian Castle, we went down there, and of course, when we got into government, if I were to give you some quick historical background, when we got into government, there was a field of cotton down there.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah? We felt that cotton, no matter what it is being purchased for in Japan, you first have to grow cotton, then, take care of it, harvest it, clean it, pack it, ship it, and then, whatever the return is, you'll benefit from that. Our people have long gone beyond cotton.
True.
My feeling is always that we need to plant things that we can eat.
Of course.
Feed ourselves, because I always believe the difficult times are going to come when we'll have to depend on the land space that we have to plant. COVID-19 taught us a good lesson, that we need to be able to sustain ourselves through planting food for ourselves to have in difficult times, because the boats were not coming as frequent back then. Even though they were coming, they didn't have what we usually would get. Anyway, sometime in 2021, April thereabout, we went down there and had a look, and I said, this is my plan for these 35 acres. We're going to clean it up, we're going to plow it up, do whatever is necessary, and we're going to plant. We started with some of the plants that we had, or the seedlings that we had here at the propagation unit, things like apple trees, soursop, pomegranate and that kind of thing, and gooseberries. We started with those. Then I figured that, listen, we're importing jelly from neighboring islands south of us, and when they get there, they're not fresh, because they would spend a few days to get here, and then those who purchase them have them sitting down for a few more days, so it's almost like they're sitting down for weeks. Yeah, so I figured that we can plant some jelly trees down there, and then the government itself can have those jelly that they can sell to the persons on the island who are already in that type of trade. So we ordered about 5,000, there about 5,300 seedlings from Guyana, and we were able to plant them out down there in Indian Castle. I haven't been there for a few months, but I believe last time I was there, some of the trees were already bearing fruits, if I can put it that way. There were nuts, coconuts on those trees, right? So we have seen the benefits of that in terms of us reaching to the point where after 2.5 years thereabout, we would have seen some of the trees fruiting. And it would take some time for that place to really mushroom into something big, because trees have to develop and start to produce. There are about 40 Amrapali trees down there. Like I said, I haven't been there for some time, but they should be at the point where at some time in the near future you'll see some blossom on them, I'm sure. But it is a challenge down there for sure with respect to rainfall, but we have had some good water in terms of, there was a line that was brought from all the way in Hickman's over to Indian Castle. I think it's a 4-inch line that provides some water to fill the tank there, and then it fed down into the estate. So that, I believe, has helped that particular field to flourish, and we want to make sure that we are continuing to give it care and attention. And I do believe the potential exists for that to be something big still, even though it is providing us with some good accolades at this point in time. You said that they had a portion of the Mango Festival there last Friday, and I believe last year they did the same thing, which is good. And there have been a lot of schools and persons who have gone there to visit. So the care and attention just need to be there to ensure that we have that facility as a shining star, beacon for the Department of Agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture, and the Nevis Island Administration. So that in and of itself, it's going to be something that we'll all be proud of going into the future. We already have some pride, but we'll be even more proud of what is there when you see that really blossom into something huge, which will come.
Yes.
It will come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I want to end the program by asking you the same question I asked Minister Evelyn and Minister Brantley. I asked both of them sometime back, what part would they be playing for this 50th anniversary outside of their official duties? Premier Brantley says he will be participating in the long jam as usual, and Minister Evelyn says he will be part of the masquerade troupe on Parade Day. You have been a regular participant in the Culturama activities over the years. We would have seen you in various troops on Last Lap Day.
Right.
This being the 50th anniversary, what can we expect to see from the Honorable Alexis Jeffers? What part would you be playing?
At the start of the show, I told you my major part for Culturama is to ensure that we have homecoming celebration and Herbert Beach Affair. Those are two huge events, bigger than what part I'll role I'll play in the troop.
But I wanted your personal role.
By the time I'm done with Herbert Beach Affair on the 6th of April, I'll be tired because I'm not leaving down there until broad morning.
On the 6th of August.
On the 6th of August, yeah. That being said, I need to go and try on one of these costumes that the fun lovers have to see if I can still fit into it. If I can fit in one of
you
those
will play mass.
costumes, I'm going to play mass.
You'll play mass. Okay, I got you.
Listen, no, I can fit. There's no doubt about that. Yeah,
okay.
But I believe, as it is, that might be my contribution outside of what I intend to do up there at Herbert Beach and to join the folks and fun lovers, no matter what shape I'm in.
Okay.
Yeah? But my thing is just contributing in terms of being on the street and having fun, and I believe I'm going to do that. So I'll get my monies ready to go and get a costume, jump up and enjoy myself, and the engineer or the host there will come along as well.
Come along, okay.
Both of us are going to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Honorable, I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us this evening. It's been a long time, but I did enjoy tonight's discussions. Your final words for our listening and viewing audience.
I know we always go off script when we come here.
But it's good information,
but
so it's okay.
Trust me, it's difficult to stick to a script because there's so many things to talk about.
Yes.
And when your administration is doing well, you want to sing the praises.
Yes.
Because we have to find a way to drown out all of the negative, or not even drown it out, but to maintain a stance where we'll continue to feed the general public here and abroad with the positive things that are happening on Nevis. Listen, I love this island, Keith, just as you do. If you tell me you love it, I'll tell you I love it even more.
I love it more than you.
And then we'll be here all night saying we love it more. So we don't want to go down that road. All I'm going to say is that when it comes to Nevis, this is all I have. And I want to say we're as good as any and better than many. Many countries and islands out there are suffering at this time. Nevisians cannot say likewise. We are having our difficult times, yes, but we are having a wonderful and progressive time. This island is progressing, and there's a lot more to be accomplished here on the island of Nevis. So I want us to continue to press on in our effort to bring the best we can to our people and to ensure that we are the shining star in the Caribbean. So I love Nevis, and I'll continue to embrace Nevis as the country or the island that I love so much, and I'm going to chastise anyone who say otherwise. But that's what I'm going to say. I want to close by saying, all who are here already, welcome home. All who are going to come, get here safely. But I want us all to have a wonderful time for Culturama 50. It is building up to be one of the best and the biggest that we would have had over the last 50 years. And as such, I want us to stay safe, but in staying safe, also find time to mix and mingle with your friends, your family, and enjoy what is there to offer here on the island of Nevis. It's a wonderful place to be for this summer.
It is, and that's a good note to end it on. Folks, we have come to the end of another edition of Government at Work. Join us again next week when we shall do it all over again. Do enjoy the rest of the evening's programming. Then have a pleasant night's rest.